Okay, Kang, we're back again, and it's Saturday, the 14th of September. Uh, we're just going to put this up right before the end of the Toronto International Film Festival, so we'll find out who the Audience Award winner is and stuff by the time the next video goes up, whenever that is. So, in the meantime, though, we're going to go ahead and run down my first official predictions of the season. I know it's a little later than normal, so we have a little bit of a better heads up. We know that, like, after everything that happened at TIFF and with reviews and stuff for the Goldfinch, we know that one is probably going nowhere outside of maybe best cinematography and stuff like that. And that's the thing. There's always a couple that crash and burn, but for the most part, though, I think this season has proved so far a lot of those high contenders right now, again with maybe one or two exceptions, is really doing pretty well as far as early critic reviews and stuff, everything that's been at the festivals. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and run down the top 8 categories. It's the 4 acting categories, director, picture, and the 2 screenplay categories for now. And then, as we move out in the season, we'll get into, animated feature, we'll get into the doc feature and foreign language once we know more about them and stuff. And obviously the tech categories and stuff, that'll come a little bit later, probably a month or so down the road. But, maybe by the end of October, November, somewhere around there, we'll start figuring it out. But I like to try to keep it September, October in the top 8 categories, because that's where a lot more fundamentals are based, and that's, I think, a better idea of where we're going to get some of these top contenders. Because, there are some films out there like, I don't know, we'll just throw out like Bombshell or The Report. It's like, well, they probably won't get too many tech category nominations. Something like The Farewell is another one for a possible contender out there. Or, The Laundromat looks pretty modern. So it's like a lot of those aren't really going to have a bunch of, help from like art direction and production, / production design and costume design and the sound categories and stuff. It's like, yeah. So it's easier to, I think, figure out where we stand for those top categories here by doing it that way. Okay. So what film do I have out front right now for Best Picture? It's as a placeholder right now. I saw the trailer. The first official trailer came out. Very impressed by it. I was very much reminded of Spotlight by it. And I'll tell you what, when I saw the first trailer for Spotlight, I'm like, I think that can be a contender. And sure enough, it had a rocky road, but eventually it did win Best Picture, against my prediction, of course. And that film is The Report, as I just mentioned here. So, I do have this one out front, again, just kind of based on the trailer. Most of the critical reception has been pretty positive here. I think it sits at, let's see, I've got my TIFF scorecard here. 84% last I checked. So it's doing pretty well with critics and stuff. Did very well at Sundance, and I think it has the option, or the possibility, I think it can get into screenplay, film editing, an acting or award or two, and I do have it in for director as well. We'll get to those categories, later on, of course. But yeah. In second place, I think, is what's going to end up being Netflix's biggest player, and that's Marriage Story, actually. Again, this is one I have it actually in all 4 acting categories right now. It's a tough call. Alan Alda, I think, maybe actually doesn't have that much screen time, but we'll see. But yeah, I think this will be Noah Baumbach's big break-in. The first 2 trailers were, it was kind of a neat idea. They were, obviously, if you watch them back to back, they're a little repetitive and stuff. But that idea, I've always fancied as a great idea for a first look trailer. So yeah. Okay, then we have The Irishman in third place for me. I think, obviously, I think if Netflix knew something we didn't, we wouldn't see it be at the New York Film Festival in a couple of weeks. We wouldn't see it, play at a few of the other festivals in October and November and stuff. So I think they do. I think they're confident in it. Marriage Story is going to have a longer release in theater before it gets played on, streaming than The Irishman will have. I think The Irishman will have like 3 weeks, and Marriage Story will have a full 4 weeks before. I think that's a good sign that, Marriage Story might actually be the bigger player here than The Irishman. But still, I think The Irishman, overall will probably have more nominations, though, than Marriage Story will. I think, again, Marriage Story is really going to focus on, for me right now, 4 acting, directing, picture, screenplay, and then that might be it. I don't know if it can get into editing. I don't know if it can get into any other big tech categories there. But again, Irishman, though, is not going to have that problem. It's probably going to be production design, costume design, cinematography, on down the line, maybe a sound category, perhaps visual effects because of the de-aging and everything, on top of screenplay, probably an acting award or 2 for the nominations, and then director picture. So I can easily see that be a double-digit nominee for Marty. Okay, in fourth place, another one that I potentially see as a big double-digit one, and that's Greta Gerwig's remake of Little Women in fourth place. Yeah, the trailer was pretty good. I think Saoirse Ronan looks pretty solid for a Best Actress contender. I have her out front right now as well. I do have Meryl Streep still in for Supporting Actress right now, just as a placeholder, but we'll see if one of the three sisters, other than Saoirse, can get into one of those slots there, or we could see more than one. Yeah, I think, again, this is one that's really going to benefit, with production design, especially costume design, and stuff like that. Okay, fifth place is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I think does lead a lot of polls right now. Again, I'm kind of, just my personal reaction to it is part of the reason why I'm not putting it higher on the list. But I think overall, enough people really like it. It's definitely, just based off of critical and audience reaction. I think voters, for the most part, are going to like it. Some of them are going to love it, but some of them are also going to hate it. Which, more or less is every Tarantino movie at the Oscars, I think that's why we haven't seen, like, Inglourious Basterds go all the way for Best Picture. We haven't seen, Pulp Fiction, had a tough time against Forrest Gump and everything. But yeah. So this, I kind of will predict more of the same with this one, but I do think it does have a good bet, though, I think, for Best Actor, Screenplay, and then, again, some of those tech categories. We talked about that a little bit last time. Okay, I still have it in despite the very mixed reception at TIFF, but Jojo Rabbit is in sixth place for me, and again, it is kind of a placeholder right now. This is another one, I think, just because of it's enough of a feel-good movie. I think enough voters will put it as their number one and stuff. But this is kind of tough for me. It's like picture is in, okay, adapted screenplay is in, but I don't know if Taika can get in for supporting actor. I don't know. Scarlett Johansson's going to have her bid in Best Actress for Marriage Story. I don't know if she'll pull the double with supporting actress here. The young kids in it, maybe, but that's tough. We haven't really seen that in a little bit where it's like they go all the way to win or anything, So, yeah, let alone the nomination. It's kind of been tough lately for that. Yeah, so again, that's one I think would benefit from maybe a couple tech category nominations and stuff. Okay, then in seventh place is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which was very highly critically rated and stuff, but still, I just still look at that trailer and say, it looks really, really, just really sappy. For me personally, I'm still not wowed by these, by any of the trailers or promotional footage on it or anything. But still, I do have it in. I think, again, yeah, if enough people like it, it'll easily get in. Okay, in eighth place, I have Bombshell. That's the Roger Ailes kind of biopic there, more or less. It's more, like the Fox News and everything. I think this is one I'm betting on, even though we've only seen one trailer. That trailer was pretty good, and it is skipping all the fall festivals and stuff. We saw Big Short do that. We saw Vice do that. We've seen, a number, like The Post did that and still got in for Best Picture and stuff. So, yeah, it's not impossible to skip the festivals and still get in. Okay, number 9 is a film that is at TIFF as well. That's Ford v. Ferrari, and that one sits at 88% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. It does look like a really fun ride. James Mangold looks like he did a beautiful job on the film. Let's see, by the way, what was Jojo Rabbit's at 74 right now, so it's mostly positive, but it's low, and it's like and I always say it's worse, I think, at the Oscars if you're critically mixed, because if it's mixed, then you risk the thing of, especially, if it's possibly controversial, like, Jojo Rabbit would be. It's like, you don't want to get on people's bad side by encouraging it, but then, it's like, yeah, it's all that stuff, too. But it's like, whereas some movies, out there, especially when you go back into the 80s and 90s and stuff, there's some films that were just critically just blasted that still get a couple nominations here and there. And a lot of that, I think, had to do, too, with just the person that was doing it. Like, I always think of Blue Lagoon getting in for Best Cinematography and stuff. It's like, that movie is like a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or something, but it's like, and critics at the time hated it too. I remember Siskel and Ebert put it on their worst of the year list and stuff, but it was, the cinematography was so gorgeous, though. It's like, you almost had to nominate it. It was almost like a written in thing. So, so it's almost better, I think, either to be really highly critically rated or way down here, but have one or two outstanding qualities that everybody concedes. It's like, yeah, the movie sucked, but this was great, which is why something like The Goldfinch for Best Cinematography, I think, is actually maybe a better bet than a lot of people would probably think. It is Deakins, and they love getting him nominations. They don't love to award him, except for once, but yeah. I can totally see that happening. But then he's got is it 1917 or 1918? 1917, the Sam Mendes one too. So yeah, he'll have a couple chances there. But yeah, Ford v Ferrari, I think, I don't know if I can see it getting to 10 nominations, but it's definitely going to be, I mean, I think it's a front runner for film editing, front runner for probably sound editing between the two categories, but it'll probably get nominated in both. Let's see. Otherwise, I have it in for picture. I don't know. It's like, I think, yeah, those categories, especially the lower ones there, and then maybe a couple more along the way. We'll see if Christian Bale can maybe get another acting bid this year. It sounds like he and Damon are both great, but I think Bale, is obviously, more of a favorite with the acting crowd there. Okay, and then number 10, just in the 10 slot, I do have Joker right now. It's another one, it's like it started really high critically reception at Venice and then won the Golden Lion there, but since then it's kind of been all over the place. Right now it's 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it does have its critics out there. That being said, though, I think Joaquin, there's a vision, I think, in that Best Actor category where he just walks just through the category and just marches right through and wins everything this year. I can totally see that happening just based on the trailers alone and stuff. And, he's been nominated, 4 times now? I think 4. What was it? Gladiator? Oh, shit. Now I forget. It's like Gladiator, The Master, and Walk the Line. So it's 3. Is it 3 or 4? Anyways, but he's been nominated at least 3 times. If I remember it, it'll come to me. But this would be either his 4th or 5th. Okay, screw it. This is going to bother me until I look it up. Okay. Joaquin. Because I feel like I'm forgetting one. Did he get in for Quills? Maybe he got in for Quills. Awards and nominations. Here we go. Nope, just the 3. Yep. Okay. So this would be his 4th nomination, and yeah, I think he's been around enough, and he's, again, even if people hated the movie, if they admit, oh yeah, Joaquin was great in it, though, even then, I think, yeah, some people will put him at number 1 for that category. So, but yeah, we'll get to the acting categories as well here. But yeah, so that's the 10 I have right now. Again, that's Report, Marriage Story, Irishman, Little Women, Once Upon a Time, Jojo Rabbit, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Bombshell, Ford v Ferrari, Joker are my 10 right now. Okay, for what else is kind of leading the polls here right now, or kind of in those top places here, 1917. Again, that first trailer was good, but it didn't blow me away the way it did a lot of other people. So I think that's in that 10 to, or 11 to 20 range. The Farewell, which I think, has, that, and for me, Peanut Butter Falcon are, I haven't seen Farewell yet, but I loved Peanut Butter Falcon, so that's another one I can see kind of being in that kind of hell or high water slot like a few years ago, where it comes out a little early, but there's enough of a groundswell, enough buzz around it that it just keeps going, stays in people's memories, and then it does end up with picture, acting, writing, and, a few good number of nominations. I can see both scenarios playing out, either one. I don't know if both can get in, but yeah, I am really excited to see The Farewell. Okay, people talk, Just Mercy, I do have that in for a couple nominations here. The Two Popes has been doing really well. It's at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes after Telluride and TIFF. I just think Netflix has... I already have 2 Netflix films in. I don't know if they can go 3 out of 10. That's tough. I mean, Roma obviously was a big play last year. So I don't know if they jump from that to getting 3 in. No, they only had the 1 last year, right? Yeah, I think Roma was their only nominee last year, I believe, so now I'm doubting myself. Let's see here. Yeah, I got the right one here. Yeah, Roma was their only big player last year, so. Okay, that got in for picture, I should say. Okay, what else? Laundromat has really fallen apart after poor reception at both TIFF and at Venice. It's sitting at 51% right now. Yeah, I've pulled that one out, obviously. A few people like Waves. It's, again, most people have liked it. I read a couple of reviews where they said it's good, but it's not great, so I think that could hurt it too. When that one comes out in December, I think, so yeah. Let's see, then we've got Harriet was another one. Really mixed reception at TIFF. It's at 67% right now on Tomato Meter. I still have Cynthia Erivo, and I can see her getting in. Again, maybe cinematography on that. We'll see. One, I have it in for a couple slots, but it's not in for picture, I don't think, is Pain and Glory. And this feels like, a classic case of something like Cold War or Foxcatcher, where it gets a good number of nominations through the fields, including director, but then just can't pull it out for Best Picture. It definitely feels like that. So I don't think that puts it away indefinitely for Best Picture. We'll have to see, because I think it does open right away in October here, so we'll see. But and it is going to be Spain's official selection for foreign language feature. So I think obviously that's another thing that I think obviously, in retrospect 100% hurt Roma badly for that Best Picture win last year, was that they had that consolation prize of foreign language. So I think the same would apply for Pain and Glory, and you could Parasite too. I think we'll have a similar run in there. Ad Astra is one. I think it's probably below that 20 slot for me. And I don't have these officially by any means, but yeah. Let's see. Anything else that I want to talk about here? Not really. No. Okay. Queen and Slim had a second trailer out, and I do really think that's going to be a fun movie to watch. Fun, I guess, is a choice word there, but it's like it does look like a pretty entertaining story, and I can see that getting in for, especially for like screenplay. Maybe Daniel Kaluuya and the newcomer there, whose name we'll probably see in the Best Actress list, but they could make a play for it for their categories. They could. It's not guaranteed at this rate, obviously, but we'll see. Okay, now move on to Best Director. The 5 here I have are I just have Scorsese in first, just as a placeholder here. Obviously, yeah, again, I can see a scenario where if The Irishman is that knockout level where it's like a Goodfellas, Departed, Raging Bull level, Scorsese flick, then, yeah, I can see him winning his second Oscar for this, totally. Otherwise, I have Noah Baumbach in second place, Greta Gerwig in third for Little Women. Again, that's tough because these two are writing partners in the past, and they have, competing projects now, and they're actually, they're going to reteam on a couple projects, I think, after this, too. So it's tough to see them both get in, especially since, Greta obviously has gotten in before, so she's got a few fans in the director's branch there. But then again, I think Noah Baumbach kind of feels like that Kenneth Lonergan slot, where it's like it's primarily known as a writer. He's been nominated before in the past for writing. So, it feels like that leap to director, I think, feels pretty good for that. So that's why I have him above Greta in this case. Let's see, who else here? Then I have Scott Z. Burns in for The Report. He's another one, I think, kind of feels like that Tom McCarthy thing where he's been nominated before and now they see him leap. So seeing 2 writers turn directors now get in, yeah, that's a little risky. I get that, but yeah. And then I do have Pedro Almodovar. There we go. Almodovar for Pain and Glory. I do have him in as that 5th slot. And again, I feel like I'm going to jump on this train right as it goes off the tracks here, because we've seen that a couple years now where, not 2 years in a row, I should say, but a couple cases now in the past 10 years where we see Mikhail Haneke get in for Amour, and then obviously that went in for Best Picture too. But then last year with the foreign director, whose name I could never pronounce, Cold War guy, he got in, and it was like, again, I was a little, not flabbergasted because some people were predicting it, and he did get in at BAFTA for Best Director, so it wasn't totally, completely out of left field. But not the way like Bennett Miller was, and then that one missed for Picture too. But I can totally see that happening right now, where it's like, yeah, I start predicting it, and he makes it in a couple places, and then he just drops, and somebody else gets in there. Yeah, so speaking of who else can get in, obviously a lot of people are picking Tarantino right now again. Yeah, I mean, he didn't get in for Hateful Eight, he didn't get in for Django and stuff, so yeah, and the director's side, he's only been nominated, I think, for Pulp Fiction and for Inglourious Basterds, so maybe he's due for another one then, but again, I think there is, going to be, like most Tarantino films, there is going to be that love-it-hate-it attitude, so I don't know if the director's branch necessarily, again, they might have something like a Pedro Almodovar or Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, could be a more tempting name to throw out there. Sam Mendes for 1917, depending on how that one does. James Mangold is definitely going to be in the race. We could see, I was talking about Jay Roach for Bombshell, which I think is also a possibility, but lesser one right now. But we were talking about those comedy directors turned serious directors. I totally spaced Todd Phillips for Joker. If that one really goes, like if Joker lights it up and gets, picture drama, I would assume it's drama at the Globes, and it gets a SAG nomination for Outstanding Ensemble, and it gets into the DGA or something, yeah, I can totally see Todd Phillips making that jump the way that Adam McKay has, and the way that last year Peter Farrelly did. Even though he didn't get in for director last year, Peter did. He still got 2 Oscars, so, yeah. So I can see his name also being on there. Mariel Heller got a lot of attention last year, so Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, I think. again, if it just looks that sappy, I can see the director's branch just yawning at that one and skipping over her. Of course, we can never, Terrence Malick, for The Hidden Life, maybe. Again, I think that'll be a bigger play for like if it's the official qualifier for foreign language film, and it's probably cinematography would probably be the two bets there. Okay, anybody else? Taika, yeah, I maybe, but I think he'd be a better bet in the acting race personally for his effort there. Okay, but I know, yeah, I'm just off Gold Derby here. I see Scott Z. Burns is like in like 25th place or something right now, so I'm like the only one picking him. But okay, well, not to win, by the way, I should say, obviously, but just to get nominated. Okay, now move on to the acting races. Just a placeholder right now, I have Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think he's between him, Pitt, and Robbie. I think he's the best shot there. It's the most obvious acting. It's, you could argue, the biggest range acting wise because he's upset and he's angry and then he's super serious and then he's and all that stuff. And there's a lot of comedic moments there too. So I want to see it again and see if it does do a better if it leaves a bigger impression on me the second time around and stuff. But yeah, and that did happen, by the way. I think I've told the story before in Inglourious Basterds. The first time I watched it, I wasn't in love with it. It wasn't until like the second and third time then I was like, oh yeah, this movie's fucking awesome. So that might be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for me. Maybe I like it a lot better the second time. So I have him in first just as a placeholder for now. And I do have Joaquin Phoenix in second place for Joker, Adam Driver in third place. I've been getting in for Marriage Story, but again, he might have like that Andrew Garfield problem we saw a few years ago where he had both Hacksaw Ridge, which he was nominated for, and then the other Scorsese one, Silence. Yeah, Silence. And I never did end up seeing that, but yeah. So it's like that could be a problem since he has both Marriage Story and The Report out. But for now, I think Marriage Story, even though, yeah, The Report I have winning Best Picture, it's like, I don't know. I think the acting branch is more going to gravitate to Marriage Story than they will to The Report. So I have him getting in for that one. And I have Antonio breaking in for his first time for Best Actor here for Pain and Glory. And then in the fifth slot, I have Michael B. Jordan back in. So I do have De Niro out for now. I don't know. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But yeah, I just get the feeling with The Irishman. It's like watching that trailer again. It's like, yeah, I think De Niro's. I mean, obviously Silver Linings Playbook was great and stuff. But since then, he's done good work. He's done mediocre work, so but I don't necessarily see the acting branch going him again on this one. Who else could be in here? One we could be kind of sleeping on a little bit is Eddie Murphy, and Dolomite Is My Name. Again, really, I think it would benefit him to get in for the Globes there for comedy actor. Again, if he starts there, I think he can build on that. Same with Taron Egerton for Rocket Man. Just based off the reviews, and I don't know if this is official or not, but the two popes, I don't know if it's for certain if they're both going lead or if they're going one lead, one supporting. Yeah, I'm not for certain on that yet, but I don't know. From what I've heard, it's Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce. Evidently, Jonathan Pryce has the meatier role here, or the more Oscar-friendly role. So some people have thrown his name out. I wouldn't have minded seeing him nominated last year for The Wife. He was very, very good in that, opposite Glenn Close. And I think it's on my original video there when I saw it for the first time. I said Glenn Close was good, but I was more impressed the first time around with Jonathan Pryce. I think the second time around, yeah, Pryce was still great, but I thought Glenn did a better job. But that's, again, knowing the story, I think the second time around helped that. Let's see, then Christian Bale, Ford v. Ferrari. Again, some people are picking him. We could see The Sandman, Adam Sandler in for Uncut Gems. Yeah, the same argument goes for Matt Damon in Ford v. Ferrari, whether they'll go, Bale lead, Damon supporting, or if they'll kick them both in lead, or if they might pull a spotlight and put them both in supporting. I don't know. One we haven't seen yet, but, he's been nominated quite a few times in the last years, Mark Ruffalo in Dark Waters, and it is Todd Haynes. We saw both Rooney Mara and Cate Blanchett get in for that and everything, so... Yeah. Another one maybe that we might be sleeping on, and again, the reviews, again, are really mixed right now. 65% Rotten Tomatoes is Motherless Brooklyn. But I could see Edward Norton getting in just for his acting performance, because it does look like he's really digging into this role here. And then, as we mentioned, Daniel Kaluuya for Queen and Slim, I think, is one, we haven't seen it yet, but if that one really goes, then, I don't know, maybe breaks in for his second time, for a second nomination there. Okay, moving on to Best Actress. I already mentioned I've got Saoirse Ronan out front for Little Women. Cynthia Erivo in second place for Harriet. Scarlett Johansson in third for Marriage Story. Charlize Theron in for Bombshell. And I do have Renee Zellweger in fifth place for Judy. That's a classic one I can see where it's like, yeah, and it is 88% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, so most critics really, really like it. That's a classic one I can see it getting in for Best Actress and nothing else. Yeah. Let's see, who else here? Awkwafina, of course, yeah, I got a lot of buzz for The Farewell, but again, I'm just not sure what to do with that one yet. Again, once I see it, maybe I'll change my mind on that, but... let's see, out of Sundance, Alfre Woodard seemed like a pretty good bet for Clemency, but again, we'll have to see. I would love to see Lupita Nyong'o get in for Us. And then, yeah, it's like after that, it's kind of, a few people are fans of the performance from what we've seen so far, but the rest of them are kind of tough. But, yeah, I'm just kind of looking down the list here. Jodie Turner-Smith, there we go, for Queen and Slim. Maybe she breaks in on this thing. Maybe. Yeah, so... I know it feels like this will be one of the weaker fields this year, but yeah, we'll have to see here. And then another one, we'll get to her because I guess just off Gold Derby here, she's got better odds in supporting actress because we don't know officially where she's going to end up. But that's Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers. 2 words or one name. I 2 words. Yeah, one name I thought I would never see ever pop up in an Oscar discussion list ever is Jennifer Lopez, but. Here we are. And that Hustlers, yeah, I mentioned it in my September preview, and I said, yeah, I wasn't wowed by the trailer and stuff. And I really wasn't, but I've seen it again a couple of times since I've seen a couple of films and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. It's like the second time the trailer landed a little better with me. And then, obviously, it's like 88 or 89% Rotten Tomatoes. It's going to be a bonkers opening this weekend. It could be close to 35 million. I've seen some estimates jumping up and stuff, so it's like, wow, damn. So it's like, okay, and now after this, it's like, okay, now I gotta see it. So I will see that one. I will, even though again I'm not wowed by these trailers or anything, but it's like after that critical reception and after now some buzz for some acting potential, it's like, okay, maybe I was wrong about this one, and I'm fully willing to admit when I'm wrong, but it's like that again just seemed like so left field to me, and so foreign of an idea to see Jennifer Lopez in an acting category. But who knows if she's good enough? She's good enough, yeah. And she's definitely a very popular personality, too, so that's going to do nothing but help. We saw that last year, of course, with Lady Gaga. All right, let's see, and now we'll go to supporting actor. This category I'm so fucking lost on. I'll just be upfront. I'm so lost on this category. There are so many potential nominees here that I just feel like I'm going, the 5 that I've picked right now off the Gold Derby odds and stuff, again, just feel like hit and miss. Like, okay, one of them is at 100-1 odds. One of them is clear down to like 58-1. One of them is, yeah, they just feel all over the place. But at the same time, it's like I can't totally dismiss the ones that are above them, and I can't totally dismiss the ones that are below them. So it looks like this is going to be a hell of a year for this category. Okay, so I still, again, just kind of like that, early stick it to the man nomination where I might just stick with it for a while, like I did last year with Sam Rockwell in this category, is Jamie Foxx for Just Mercy. And based on the buzz and stuff from TIFF, it is at 84%, and most of the reviews have mentioned, yeah, Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, great. Not, they weren't the reviews like last year with Green Book where it was like, no, put Viggo in, put Mahershala Ali in, they're solid. Put the movie in, it's solid. They weren't like guaranteed nominations the way the buzz was last year, and then obviously after the Audience Award went to Green Book last year, then we saw that. And, yeah, so I don't know if obviously the Audience Award will get handed out tomorrow. I just don't know where they're going to go this year. I don't know. I can see them going with something like Parasites, which feels is one of those foreign films, feels important and stuff. I can see them going Honey Boy because that looks like a more emotional film. And I'm just starting with 100% moving down. Marriage Story could easily be in that slot. I can see something like Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood because it's Mr. Rogers. Who doesn't like Mr. Rogers? I can see Ford v. Ferrari because that seems like a very crowd-pleasing movie and stuff. The Report, if that feels important enough, they can award that one. Just Mercy, same deal. What else? Joker. I don't know if Joker could win. I said the same thing at Venice. Look what happened. JoJo seems too mixed. So yeah. I don't know if that one can pull out a win at TIFF for the Audience Award there, but like we said, crazier things have happened. Yeah. So yeah, I just and And Green Book, was a little bit, like, oh wow, kind of pick last year, because I know we had discussed it maybe once or twice before it premiered, and then we talked about, oh yeah, it's 100%, but it's only got like 6 reviews stuff, and then it took off. But yeah. So we'll see. And just one more thing, I've read a couple of reviews on Just Mercy saying it's the anti-Green Book. It's the fight for the way that Green Book's message of racism was kind of, it's a personal, person to person basis, whereas Just Mercy has the argument, no, racism is systematic, and this is the result and stuff. So obviously, if enough people were pissed off about Green Book last year, and they thought that Green Book took that stance, which I would argue it did, and I haven't seen Just Mercy yet, but it seems like it looks like it's taking that stance right now, just based off the trailer and stuff. It's like if enough people get pissed off about it, yeah, maybe that is, an anti-Green Book vote the next year, is to see something like Just Mercy do really well at the Oscars. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get in trouble again for talking about this. But anyways, we'll keep going. I have John Lithgow in second place for Bombshell. Again, we'll have to wait and see until he pops up in the trailers and stuff, because he wasn't to be seen or heard from in the first trailer. But, I would imagine there's going to be a good deal of makeup and stuff, and we saw that really help Gary Oldman a couple of years ago. So, yeah, and he's never won before. He's been nominated a couple of times, but never won, so, yeah. And I have Tom Hanks for Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood in third place. He is going supporting for this. Unless they switch it. He was originally lead, but then they bumped down to supporting. We'll see if that holds. I have Joe Pesci in fourth place for The Irishman, just because it feels, I don't know. It's like him or Al Pacino. I don't know if they can both get in right now, but we'll see. Then I do have Alan Alda in for fifth place for Marriage Story. I think part of that appeal for me comes from, again, he has been nominated before, so the acting category knows him. And that's funny. All 5 of these actors have been nominated before. We saw that in 2012, and that was another competitive race. So, let me go back to Best Actor. I think everybody except Antonio and Michael have been nominated there. And then for Best Actress, Cynthia would be her first time. This would be Scarlett's first time. So, yeah, there's not a ton right now, I'm predicting. And obviously, it's kind of tough to do it early, but not a ton of people who have not been nominated before are in my acting cases here. Sorry, I've skipped over supporting actress. She's been, I think, just one of the 5 there I have. But, yeah, we'll get to that one in a second here. So who else is in this category? Obviously, we've talked about Brad Pitt. A lot of people have him out front right now. And I think he is a fun character in this, especially the last 20, 30 minutes of that movie. Before that, though, I think he's a little stiff. Like I said, he's a great-looking character. And as I said, if this was a novel, he would definitely, seem like a bigger character than he is in the movie and stuff. But I'm just not convinced about his candidacy here. Then, yeah, Al Pacino, yeah, that's kind of a one or the other deal, so I just took Pesci because he hasn't been nominated since Goodfellas. Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse, we'll see if that one takes off. He has been nominated a few years in a row here, so we'll see if he can continue. Anthony Hopkins in The Two Popes, again, right now, I guess he's in supporting, but we'll see. Maybe he is lead, but I don't know. Waves, Sterling K. Brown. This will be his first nomination if he gets in, but again, it kind of seems like... Again, some people just didn't really care for it. I think the acting, for the most part, was pretty well received, but yeah, we'll see if he can break in. We mentioned Taika Waititi, Jojo Rabbit, Gary Oldman for The Laundromat, even though he's got that weird accent. Maybe he pulls it in. I had him in before. Let's see. A lot of people are talking. Tracy Letts actually has a pretty good part in Ford v Ferrari, so we'll see if that one comes through. Timothée Chalamet looks like he's got quite a bit to do in Little Women, so I could actually see that happening. Jamie Bell and Rocket Man was kind of fun. Who else here? Anybody else I'm missing that could get in? Nothing's really popping right now in these, other than to see. We'll see if they go lead or supporting for him. But Zach Gottsagen, I think is his name, from Peanut Butter Falcon. I mean, that'd be great to see him get in. And then Shia, too, I would say, for Best Actor, might get some love. But again, it really depends on the movie and how well it gets received and stuff. Okay, let's move on to Best Supporting Actress. I'm sticking with this crazy theory of Jennifer Hudson winning for Cats, just based off trailer and stuff. And she went up once and won, so yeah. I also have Annette Bening in for The Report. We could easily see this be a case of, she's been nominated X number of times, and we've got to give it to her. Yeah, we made that same argument last year with Glenn Close, and that didn't quite work out. And then Laura Dern for Marriage Story I have her in third place. I think she's leading a lot of polls right now too. But everything I've heard is she could easily walk away with this, so that wouldn't shock me right now. I have Shuzhen Zhao for The Farewell. She plays a grandmother character in fourth place, and she is the only nominee I have for the film right now. And then, like I said, placeholder Meryl Streep for Little Women, because if it's Streep, she's got to get nominated, as long as she's got a sizable part and stuff. So we'll see. Yeah, so again, I'm not 100% on board the Margot Robbie train right now. Again, part of that is just because of the limited screen time and, yeah, limited dialogue. I mean, yeah, she's obviously a lesser character. It's obviously more focused on the Leo and the Brad Pitt characters. And, and obviously, yeah, like I kind of mentioned this a little bit last time. I don't want to get into trouble again, but just going into it a little bit, there was that, the thing at Cannes that happened where a reporter tried to kind of ask him, why do you feel you have to put down women or whatever. It felt, I've seen it. It looked a little like the reporter was trying to goose him into a question there that they could, run an op-ed on him and stuff. But he's like, nah, I decline your theory. It's like, and I get where he's coming from. Yeah, he wrote the story. These are his characters. So he can do with them as he damn well pleases. So I agree with that notion. But the only thing is, just when it comes to Oscar consideration, I think that will hurt her candidacy. There we go. Okay, yeah, then we'll see. I haven't seen the film yet, so I don't know how big a role Lopez has in Hustlers, but I guess right now more people are putting her in for supporting than they are for lead, so we'll see how that goes. And then Meryl Streep in The Laundromat, I guess, is also going supporting for that, even though she looked like a lead role. Then you've got Florence Pugh, Emma Watson, Eliza Scanlon, and maybe Laura Dern for Little Women as well. But again, I think Laura Dern's candidacy, again, will really focus on Marriage Story, so I would kind of strike that one off the list there. And again, like we kind of talked about in the trailer, they're either Margot Robbie or Nicole Kidman for Bombshell. It looks like they have a pretty good shot there. They were kind of front and center in that trailer, and it started on Margot Robbie, so maybe she has a better shot with Bombshell than she does for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let's see, we've mentioned a little bit of Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey. She has won 3 Emmys, I think, for this role. When it was on TV, so can't totally discount her. After that, it kind of feels like, again, we're kind of long list, but I'm not really seeing a ton that pop out to me as a good shot. Again, going back to like Peanut Butter Falcon, maybe like a Dakota Johnson could get a couple bids, but yeah, I see that as a tougher race there. Okay, so that's all the acting categories there. We'll go to the screenplay category, starting with original screenplay. I have the report out front just because, again, it's the best picture winner there for me right now. Marriage Story in second place, Booksmart in third place, Once Upon a Time Hollywood in fourth, and Bombshell in fifth. The Farewell is, I think, going to be a player here. Pain and Glory will. Maybe Parasite, that's also an original. The Two Popes is Anthony McCartan, and they do, even though Bohemian didn't get in or Darkest Hour didn't get in, I think the writer's branch likes him. Because both those films got in for a lot of other stuff, but they just couldn't quite pull it for their respective screenplay categories. Ford v. Ferrari is also going to be an original this year. Knives Out, maybe a little bit of love for Rian Johnson there. The Lighthouse seems a little too far afield to be a nominee here, but I guess you never know. We'll see what the script for 1917 looks like, but again, those war stories are really tough to get in, especially lately, like Hacksaw Ridge couldn't get in. It didn't get in, did it? I don't think it did. Darkest Hour didn't get in. Dunkirk didn't get in. There's another one I'm forgetting about, but war films have had a hard time lately with the screenplay categories. I don't think it got in for. I'm looking up Hacksaw now just to make sure. I don't think it was in for adapted that year. Let's see. I know it did really well at like the. Australian award stuff. Nope. Yeah, I didn't get in for screenplay there. Let's see. Anything else? Personally, I would like to see Us get in because it's Jordan Peele. I did like. There's a lot of funny moments in that script, so yeah, I wouldn't mind that. But yeah, it seems like not a ton of people are excited for that one. Okay, then we'll go to adapted screenplay. Again, I just have The Irishman out front. It is what's his name? Steven Zaillian writing the script. Little Women I have in third place. Jojo Rabbit I have in second place. Again, I might drop that one in a bit here. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood in fourth place, and Just Mercy for fifth place. This category seems like, there's a few, but after that, it kind of feels like slim pickings this year. We've got Joker could get in. We have seen a comic book-based film get in before with Logan. The Laundromat maybe, but again, that's Scott Z. Burns. I don't see him getting 2 nominations in the same year, even though they would be separate categories. The Todd Haynes film Dark Waters, I think, could get in for its. Todd Haynes is no stranger to the screenplay categories. Toy Story 4, maybe. Toy Story 3 got in for script that year. Hustlers is based on a newspaper piece, so that could get in. Maybe Motherless Brooklyn, again, depending on the script. I think Norton had a hand in that as well. After that, it does feel like slim pickings after that, so, yeah. Okay, so maybe the 5 I picked are it. You never know, but, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so that's it for the top 8 categories for now. First predictions out of the way, and, of course, they will never change. That'd be fun. No, that's like at the start of basketball season after 1 week saying this one's going to win the March Madness tournament. Yeah, it's like, good luck. All right, that's all I got for now. We'll catch you guys later. We'll see what TIFF picks for their audience award, and eventually we'll pick up on some later stuff.